some application they are using for, editing for any evidence of reality. So,
I think from an educational perspective, you know how you have computing 101 classes, or even if you go to high school, you know, you learn the basics of whatever. And I think since we live in the information age, I think it's the best time of human history to live in, really. And from an educational perspective, I think if we would start implementing some programs of what is information 101, strategic thinking 101, analysis, to learn about what is this thing called social media, and how do you disseminate between what is real, what is not. And there are a lot of tools out there, so it's not like we're living in a vacuum. There's Snopes, there's Snopes.com, for example, if you're really interested to find out whether something is true or not. There's also an app that I use every day, which is called Ground News, and it gives you the coverage. Is it a left-leaning article? Is it a right-leaning article? What type of bias there is? It's the most basic thing we can do to set our future generations up for success.
Yep. Based on what you just mentioned, while it's interesting, it means that they go out. And the other thing is, do you think that parents may have delegated too much to the schools to do all this? Because earlier on, we had a discussion with some of the audience from the floor, and we spoke about parents nowadays are finding the easy way out. Yeah, trying to pass on the delegation of educating our kids back to the schools and not doing it themselves. So should we start this kind of preparations from the family within first?
Okay, maybe I'll just start with the smaller reference, right? I don't know what are the other views, but by and large, whoever is working in AI will see that it has to go back to the basics. We might have to rewind certain philosophies which have been happening. So certainly, although the AI is going to simplify a lot into this online and classroom, over the period of time, a lot will go back to basics. For instance, getting back into the traditional way. And I can tell you from this reference, right, why it is really, really required. Take, for instance, anything. Now, since we've been talking about the fake news, if I have to really understand what are the rampant impacts of this, now we are only talking from the fake news, what's the rampant impact of fake news on the generation? The best way to tell someone is how it is being created. So if we teach this to the student, look, this is how it is created. These are the consequences of doing this, and it happens very early in the curriculum. A lot of things are already happening in cybersecurity. A lot of things kids have been taught even at the universities, mainly on the data protection. You can't take it for granted. Send something on the WhatsApp. Someone has to really know the impact of you sharing the data. As simple as someone sharing the mark sheets, you really don't know what's the impact of that mark sheet which has gone on the internet, and this has to be taught. So similarly, it goes to the fake news. There are some beautiful curriculums which are there in AI which can teach you how this is created. Once you know how it is created, you have the responsibility to use it, and then everyone is absolutely responsible and the impacts of this particular curriculum. And this has been my view because coming from the academic background.
Yeah, thanks for that, and it's very interesting. So while we are on this topic still, the other side of sources that fake news can come through to the students include the TV channels. Yeah. So we are aware as an adult, I'm sure you have heard of various countries' mainstream TV channels. Some are not so mainstreams, and yet even adults couldn't distinguish between which channel's news is fake or not. Yeah. So how do you think regulations can come into the picture to assist on this?
But are you sure even us as adults can distinguish?
Yeah, I say some.
That is the problem, right? So, and I think when it comes to what Dr. Anand was saying earlier, so the incentives for clicks, for with our attention span going from 60 to 45 to 30 seconds now, it's all about the excitement. It's all about what is flashy, what is going to catch your attention. And we've actually started seeing this a long time ago within the mainstream media, right? So at the end of the day, the economic model that we're currently operating within the media space is one of the reasons why we're seeing some of this come up. So I think the importance of education is vital, because we haven't figured out a better system yet.
I'm very proud on that point, is that not all TVs are controlled. They have a regularity to control all things are showing up on the TV, but still have some rules and some control with that, because it's previous work and still they are working on the old traditional style. So there is some control. It's not full control, but there is some.
And I think only apart from TV, right, we should also extend it to any sort of video. Because a lot of kids are exposed to YouTube. Now think about it, right? We have lot of the generation is moving from the traditional television to a digital conversations which are there. And this got to be regulated, and I can give you 1 or 2 pointers why it is really required to be regulated. It's very easy to influence the kids. I'm not sure if you look at the typical Google algorithm, right, or YouTube algorithm. You type something on education, say suppose I want to know the Newton's first law, how it is there. I keep on typing, I'm more interested, Google understand, YouTube understand that I'm more interested in something in physics. The 4th recommendation or 5th recommendation I can get something which is more like a fake content which is there. And one of the biggest aspects, it's not that Google or YouTube or Meta or Facebook, they don't know it is fake, but they don't want to do it. And I'm not in a position that why don't they don't want to do it, right? There are a lot of fake followers. Everybody knows on Instagram that 10% of the users are fake, which is already there. This extends to the problem that in today's world, we all know that human creativity has to sit on top. There are technologies, easy technologies with minimal information. People can create a new video saying that, okay, I can tell you that Newton's first law is explained like this. No one knows the authenticity. You take a couple of videos on Newton's first law, you add a tool like Synthesia, you add a GPT, you add OpenAI technologies, and within 10 minutes you get a beautiful video which is absolutely fake, misinformation which is there. And the challenge is students are liking it. They are absolutely liking this content. And they are in awe for this particular content, which is bad for everyone else. So in one way, we are saying that it's getting digital, but we have been teaching wrong ways. And this is something apart from TV, even any of the digital content has to be moderated. And this will get into a lot of effort. Isn't that technology is not that technology is certainly there. But what happens in technology is technology only comes when there is a revenue. For instance, the generative AI technology, $1 billion in investment. If you look at OpenAI, they got around close to around $150 billion in terms of the valuation which is there. There was this company in 2017. It was mainly to track the deepfakes. They are still there. They went from 1 million, and it's one of the premier company which is there. They went from 1 million to 2017 to close to around 50 million in valuation. And the similar companies. So what's the challenge is anything which is to do with the defense is not going to generate the revenue. Anything which is creating the fake news, there is potential plenty of revenue. And that is where there is substantial imbalance. Why, is a lot of time people ask, is it not easy to capture? It's very easy, but there's no revenue. There is no potential to generate the income out of it.
Very interesting, yeah. And that's how ethics may have to come into the picture very soon, right? Yeah. So before we move on to the next batch of questions, is there any question for the panelists? Anyone? No one wants to challenge them? Yes, sir? not a bad idea, but it goes back to who is going to champion that. Because if it's for profit again, unless it's parked under the CSR arm of that for-profit organization, then that could have maybe, mitigate some of what Dr. Anand has mentioned. But then if not, what about my panelists?
Yeah, it's still subscription. So if, you have a profit business model, so you will get a few percentage from that client, but still almost all social media are free. I think now you have subscription for some packages. So it's a good idea, but who will go with it?
I think the most important thing on the basis of once they've been educated on the basic principles of journalism, then something that we should encourage is the freedom of speech and allow the organizations to run their course, because what I think is going to happen is a market correctiveness that will come organically after that. Essentially, they will start to disengage from what is exciting just because it's fake, and actually continue to champion what they've been educated from the very beginning. So I think at the fundamental level, we should encourage the freedom of speech and democracy. At the same time, we need to provide the basic education for the future generations to make their own decisions.
And maybe one point, because we are doing a lot of research in this area. I think one of the challenge is when it by human being, right? One of the gentlemen sitting behind was nicely explaining on the NLP. By we human being visualize something which is exciting, which is spicy, which is controversial, and that is the nerve what fake news or fake content is working on. A lot of time we know this is fake, but we still like to consume it. And there's the audience. There's a substantial audience for this type of content, which is like, very spicy, which is really exciting, rather than, I can tell you how many of we, maybe academician is a different thing, how many people really like to read the philosophical books, right? They're beautiful philosophical books, very dull, boring, but when it comes to this sort of content, and that is one of the reasons there is no user base. Moment there is a user base, there's a substantial technology, which you are saying, sir, which is there. It can be easily done, but there is no market at this point in time.
Yeah, so it's very nicely that gets into our next question is that, with all these being said, how do you think we can equip our students to navigate this vast digital sea of information?
Look, like I said, I think from the very beginning, if we have a continuously improving program within schools, because no one is born smart about how to fix the information gap, right? But I think also another solution is the collaboration between private and public. And the reason for that is I may give my age here, but I grew up with the internet back in when it was wild west. Right? It was insane. Everything you wanted was just on the internet. But two things happened. Number one, monetization for websites. By Google standards, it cut a lot of the rubbish out. And number two, the banking sector actually had a tremendous impact on the cleaning up of the internet. By that I mean the MasterCards, the Visas, the banking payment systems that would analyze your business and your website, and if it was really bad, they would actually block you from receiving payments from your subscribers or from anyone that wanted to purchase something off your website. So again, I think the key here is a strategic alliance between private, public, educational, and everyone else coming together, because it's not a solution that only one part of society can fix.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's hard work. We can work with many website and social media platforms can to generate and to learn that machine to how to clarify where is the fake news between the real news. That's very important, and from that point we can focus about new technology. We can push it away from the children. So we need to put that clearance with the regulation, also the application platform that will help us to clear all rubbish data like fake news.
Yeah, and maybe the one last point, as also said, right? Unfortunately, what's happening now is a lot of the academics, right, is more on what type of job I can get, which is a lot of research has to get inside, or the curriculum focusing on research. Whether it is AI driven, not AI driven, is a different aspect. That will also help the next generation or student. Could that be in the university or could that be anywhere, to question deeper. Moment anyone question deeper, lot of answers you already have it. Think about the example like fake news, right? We are talking about digital literacy in the student. Once we get few layers, because anything we'll do research, you have to get few layers inside. Like a lot of time people know AI at one level. If you're in a research, you have to do 5 level layer. You have to know the mathematical foundation of it, how it works with different disciplines altogether. I think that is somewhere once, I'm not saying all the students, but by and large majority of the students get this research mindset with whatever they have been taught into, most of the problems can be eliminated to a greater extent.
So, I mean, everyone spoke about collaboration as well, and we say that the school can be the champion to start with all these, right? But putting on my non-profit association hat, as a volunteer, I reached out to lots of schools in Singapore, and I realized that the key problem is not the unavailable courses available. It's really the mindset tone at the top. I spoke to a lot of principals and board of directors in schools, and to my surprise, a lot of them are not pro such program because they themselves are lacking such knowledge. They don't know where to look out for help, and they thought that based on what they've gone through is good enough, so they continue with educating the next generation with what they have gone through that is deemed as good enough. Yeah. So when I went around trying to provide all these voluntary cyber safety, cyber awareness kind of sessions to students from all ages, primary schools means 7 to 18 years old, the students are very excited about it, but their attention span is very short. And the teachers come to me asking how can we increase and improve their attention span. They themselves don't know how to deal with it. And they've been asking a lot more than what we can contribute as a volunteer. Yeah, so I think it's time, if they have been asking so much more, I think it's time that they embark on a formal, program to deal with it. But, what I'm trying to say is that tone at the top is very critical. So when the principals are not ready, who they should look out for? Should the ministry be also more proactive to deal with such situations in education sector as well? So I mean, these are food for thoughts. Now, for people sitting in the conference, I'm sure you have the continuous learning mindset. But for people outside of the conference, they typically fall back onto what they think is suitable, to the population. So this is something that we have to deal with, and we are needing a lot more collaboration with profit and non-profit kind of associations and organizations to come together, other than some of us here who advocate about it, to deal with it. So we are closing our session in a couple of minutes' time. So before we go away, I just wanted each one of you to think about what we have discussed earlier about technology, AI into the picture, non-profit association into the picture. What do you think that is the best way that we can give our next generation, our students, the ticket?
If we focus on the few years after now, so we can see we cannot stop the new generation to use new technology like ChatGPT or others. So from that point, we need to understand, to give a good tools to new generation to help us in exact information literacy, because it's very important to understand how ChatGPT it can completely depend of the information on the internet, but they cannot make any evidence like a video or and the machine they making evidence to keep this news semi-real, but it's fake. So we need to be working well to using in the ethics work of that news.
Thank you. Paul?
Like I said before, I think we're at the cusp of greatness when it comes to this, because we've seen the impact of fake news, of disinformation, misinformation, regardless if it's from malign actors or, you know, seeking plausible deniability in terms of their actions, why they're promoting these kind of disinformation. But I think, again, because of what we've seen in the past, we're more aware at every level of society. And if we collaborate together with private, public educational system within the families, then we can come with some real robust solutions that we can then implement and learn from the implementation in order to better them. Because it's not like we learn how to build a bridge, right? You learn once and that's it. It's pretty basic. The issue is evolving, and we have to evolve with it.
Great. Thank you. Finally, Dr. Ahmed?
Yeah, and I'll still go back to my basics. What I have learned is stronger in terms of regulatory compliance, like how the regulatory compliance came for data privacy, regulatory compliance came from GDPR and cybersecurity. Similarly, when it comes to generative AI, because a lot of this fake content is getting created by generative AI, we are still seeing the tip of the iceberg, because currently, as of now, the fake content is created by humans. Think about the scenario that AI is creating. Now, for instance, there's still a manual intervention, right? We say type a prompt. There are so many AI bots which are there. They start creating and they start creating the ecosystem. That could be a catastrophic. So that is where the regulatory compliance which comes in picture. Stricter norms. I know that a lot of people say that, you know, it should be as democratized as possible, but the stricter norms when it comes to if anyone breaching it, because it's going to get even worse. We have seen still the best case scenarios, we have still not seen the worst case scenarios. So before it reaches the worst case scenarios, there has to be some sort of regulatories which comes in place. Like for instance, there are a lot of ethics AI bodies which have been forming and doing a lot of work. This has to percolate to the next level and taken.
Yes, thank you very much, my panelists. So for everyone, you have heard them. They come from two big angles, actually. One is key to collaboration, to all stakeholders that come together to make things work. The other one is to drive behavior, and regulations may be one of the ways to best drive behavior. And of course, the other behavior is from school, from home, and from people surrounding us, conflicting with revenue generation. Okay, so we have come to the end of our panel discussion. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new from our esteemed panelists. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our wonderful morning panelists and moderator. Fantastic talk right there. Now, moving right along, next up we have a keynote presentation. A very inspiring one that's all about navigating challenges and finding lasting solutions in education. How do we turn obstacles into opportunities for growth? How can we create systems that stand the test of time? Our next speaker will share powerful insights and strategies to answer these questions and more in this next session. So this next session is entitled Turning Challenges into Triumphs, the Secret Sauce for Sustainable Success in Education. So we're going to welcome up in a moment Ramesan Dorisani. He is the co-founder and entrepreneur of Success Foundry, as he reveals how adversity can be transformed into opportunity, building environments where both educators and students can excel. So please join me in welcoming Ramesan to the stage.
Right. Lines up very much with my topic, I guess. There are challenges in every corner. Okay? So, let's get started without further ado. Over the next 30 minutes, I want to share with you my take on turning challenges into triumphs.
Looking forward to see you all
Secret
there.
Source of sustainable success. So what do I mean by that?
I am Benjamin Joel Elbre Boneria. I'm a nurse administrator, an educator, and a coach. Currently working at King Faisal University,
I'm
College of
Ramesan,
Applied Medical
and
Science,
I've been in the
of
training
Nursing in the
for
Kingdom of
education
Saudi Arabia.
space,
I will
for
attend
one
with the
of those
team
which I've now
Uniting
become
Change
agent
Makers to
into
Revolutionize
the training
Education.
programs we run
It is a
for
3-day event that
entrepreneurs.
features
Now,
the most
what happened
dynamic
was,
education
I've been,
leaders
as I said,
around the
I've been in
world
the teaching and
that
training
will
space for
bring
more than
fresh
20 years.
perspectives and
For a long time,
insights
based on my
that will
past
empower,
experience,
inspire, and
wanting to
enrich
start
the
something
global learning community.
that is dedicated
I'm really
to
looking
helping
forward also to be a part of
Entrepreneur
extracurricular
Success Foundry. We founded this firm
Believe
dedicated
that
to entrepreneurs.
students
About 2
does
years
not only
ago.
learn inside the classroom. We will be talking
Challenges.
about the
So,
benefits
what
of this strategy
mean
as
by that?
groups mental students provides of
Challenges are inevitable.
students is the social
This
good,
morning I was talking to
build
someone
community
outside
and
and I had
expand
to
their net
get my coffee
and the
fixed
strategies
before
that
I
assist
get on stage to
the
face all
students
of
to refine valuable soft skills.
you. And we
Looking
were talking
forward to
about
see you all there.
how to ascertain or rather guarantee success. And I was telling this person,
I am Benjamin
Nothing in
Joel
life is
Elbre Boneria. I'm a nurse
Everything is in
administrator,
motion.
an educator,
everything is fluid.
currently
Now,
working
challenges
at
are
King Faisal
inevitable.
University,
There's
College
no
of
way
Applied
anyone
Medical
who thinks
Sciences,
that,
Department
okay,
of Nursing
I'll do
in the
this and
Kingdom
that
of Saudi
to avoid
Arabia.
challenges in whatever I'm
I will be
doing.
attending the
you would be
Education
dreaming.
2.0
So they are
conference
inevitable.
from December 3
In
to
fact,
5,
if
2024
you are
with the
not feeling
team
challenged,
Uniting
that
Change
means
Makers
you're
to
not pushing
Revolutionize
yourself hard
Education. It is a 3-day event
trick
that
in
features
dealing with
the
challenges
most
not
dynamic
to be
education
overwhelmed
leaders around the world that
but
will
more
bring fresh
how you
perspectives
reframe the
and
challenge in your
insights
mind in
that will
order
empower,
to be able to get
inspire,
past
and
it
enrich the
successfully.
global learning
So
community.
let's look at a few things
I'm really
that
looking
I've
forward
discovered
also to be a part
the
of
years
one of the
from
panel
my
discussions
Now,
on
what
a
I'm going to
topic
talk to you
entitled
about
Beyond
is
the Classroom
based, or rather
Walls,
the training
Maker
programs
Learning
that
in
we have
Community
created
and
in Entrepreneur
Extracurricular
Success Foundry.
Programs.
It's all based on
Indeed,
my
that
personal experience,
students
but more
does not only
importantly,
learn inside the
it's about
classroom, we
how
will be
we
talking about the
incorporated our
benefits
learning
of this
into the
strategy
training
as it
programs we
improves
run.
mental
And
health and well-being of
the
students,
students who go through the
provides
training programs are
opportunities
telling
for
me
students
how
to
it has
practice
made such a
social
big
good,
impact. It has
build
changed
community
a lot of
and
things for them.
network
So
strategies that will
it
assist
works. So
the
this is why
students
I'm
to
happy to
refine
share that with
valuable
you here.
soft skills.
Let's
Word
I said it all depends on, it's based on my experience.
I am
Sorry
Benjamin
about
Joel
this slide,
Elbre Boneria. I'm a
issue.
nurse
There's
administrator,
something
an
technology
editor, and a
is
coach.
not happy with me
Currently
this
working
morning,
at
so
King Faisal
there you go.
University, College of
So
Applied
let me
Medical Education 2.0
It's
conference
2011.
from December 3 to 5, 2024 with the team Uniting
On a day
Change
very much
Makers
like
to
this,
Revolutionize Education
2011
Leaders
to be
around the
specific.
world that will bring fresh
I was
perspectives
running
and
a successful
insights
consulting
that will
and training
empower,
firm.
inspire, and enrich the global learning
Right.
community.
I confidently say
I'm really
that
looking
because a
forward
few months
also to be a
before
part
this
of
incident,
one of the panel
somebody wanted
discussions
to buy our training firm.
topic entitled Beyond the Classroom Walls,
Nice number
Make
and many
Learning
zeros
Community
behind
and
it. So that tells us
Extracurricular
we are doing something
Programs. Indeed, that students
That morning, on
does not
22nd
only learn
February,
inside the
I
class,
woke up as usual. I had had
the
some
benefits of
and
this
number of things
strategy.
happening business-wise.
Mental health
And
and
in the
students
evening, I had a training
provides
program where
opportunities for students to practice social good, build community network, the strategies, the students find
But whether you believe it or, well, you have to believe it because this is a fact. By 1 p.m., in a matter of 20 odd seconds, my life turned 180 degrees. Not only I lost everything I had that morning, I was now facing potentially bankruptcy. Now, challenges based on mistakes you make in some ways are easier to deal with. But something completely beyond your control happens, what do you do? So what happened on that day? Christchurch, New Zealand, where I was based at the time, that's what the slide actually illustrates the devastation everybody faced. This particular picture, because my house is somewhere in there towards the back. Now this is unprecedented. There's no way I could have planned for it or prepared for it. Why? In New Zealand, Christchurch is known as the safe city. People from other major cities actually will have a home in Christchurch because it's a nice place, picturesque, plus no earthquake, nothing. Till today, we don't know why it happened. Geologists have figured out that a fault line caused it. Of course, we all know that's how earthquake happens. But why did a fault line appear where there was none until that date? They haven't figured it out yet. Of course, I lost everything, so what do? I got desperate. When you make decisions in desperation, 9 out of 10 times it'll be a bad decision. And I'm no different, okay? Somebody I knew from before came along and they said, Ramasan, I know what you're going through. Remember this coffee import-export business I was talking to you about? I'm going to launch it now. I'd like to have somebody with your experience as part of the business. I said, yes. This is my turning point. That's what I thought. You see, when you are desperate, you are drowning. You latch on to anything that floats by. If you're lucky, that would be a log of wood, which will help you get to the shores. But quite often, it'll be unlucky and you'll end up hugging a crocodile. And that's going to take you deeper. And that's what happened to me. Now, before I get into this about how we prepare our students and how we apply what I learned from all this, let me tell you a little bit about how I reacted. Back then I was reacting. Today I don't talk about reacting. Don't react to challenges, respond. There's a big difference between the two. When you react, there's no thinking behind it. When you respond, there is some strategic thinking behind that response. I joined this guy in this coffee business. Guess how much I knew about coffee back then? I can drink a cup of coffee. Maybe I can make a decent cup of coffee. Maybe. Beyond that, I had no idea yet. I firmly believed, without researching or learning or anything of that sort, hey, I can do this. Now that is desperation talking. Okay, not strategic thinking. So, off I went, borrowed money I couldn't afford to pay back, invested into this business, and I accepted what my so-called business partner claimed in terms of his knowledge of coffee as being absolutely true. As they say, trust but verify. But I forgot the verify part of it. I just trusted. The coffee beans are coming. I said, okay, fantastic. See, in the meantime, I was sitting and making a list of people I can go to sell the beans. I haven't spoken to anyone. I was just making my own list because from my past endeavors, I knew a lot of people in the coffee/hospitality business. And the coffee arrived I took possession, put it in the warehouse. Off I went to see these people in my list. And I told them, I got the coffee beans. Will you buy from me? And they turned around and asked, bring the samples along, the roasted samples, and then we'll have a try and decide. I'm like, roasting? Why am I roasting? I just give you the beans, you go roast it. Then they told me that's not how this industry works. Now, I never bothered to find out how the industry works. Long story short, I was running from pillar to post trying to dispose of this, and the nurses and the doctors were shocked because they said, we are surprised you are still walking. With your kind of blood pressure, you should have had a stroke by now. So I was lucky, apparently. So I was stuck in the hospital for about a week, nearly a week. When you are stuck like that, you see, sometimes you have to be forced to be in a position where you can't do anything else. Because if you're not, you'll keep trying to do something and keep doing it wrong again and again and again. So I was stuck there, can't do anything, time for reflection. It made me think what I was doing, and I realized I was doing everything wrong. Came out of hospital, and guess what I did first? I organized a funeral. It was the funeral of none other my coffee beans. Because by this time, the coffee beans were giving out all kinds of smells except coffee smell. And the warehouse owner wanted me to take it and get lost. So I literally had to get somebody to dig a huge hole, dump the coffee beans, and then I said it's time to move on. So what did I do next? This time I thought, okay, let's take stock. Sit back and think. And I decided that I need to be doing what I know best, which is advising, consulting, training, teaching people about different things in business. See, it's interesting, isn't it? We can teach and train and consult others, but when we are in the hole, we are very good at digging it deeper. Anyway, this time we started again with something I knew. I had my strong, my understanding was very strong on what I'm doing, and it worked to get help. I wanted to be taught by somebody else who knew the coffee business, but no help was available. Generally in entrepreneurship, it's not that easy, it's something else. Entrepreneurship is something else. A lot of people think entrepreneurship is about running a business. I learned that's not correct. Entrepreneurship is about having a leader mindset. Now, as it worked out, I realized that I want to give people the help I was not able to find. So that's how entrepreneurs, well, it was a long time coming, but only 2 years ago I finally managed to launch something dedicated to entrepreneurs. So how do we prepare both ourselves and the students we teach? What I learned from my experience, we have subsequently incorporated into our, let's not jump the gun. Subsequently incorporated in our training, as I said earlier, people are finding it very, very powerful. And I've got many students who have said that, look, we just followed what you guys were saying, and suddenly it's different. Come. But they can come later. First, you must get your mind right. If the mind is not in the right place, no matter what skill sets, hard skill sets that is, we have, it's not going to take us anywhere. Now, to deal with the challenge and convert it into a triumph, the secret sauce I was talking about, first, the next, okay? Nothing is guaranteed, I said earlier. Neither is anything rigid or set in stone. That's another myth we all choose to believe. Adaptability, always remain adaptable. So if we have these two, then you are going to be able to build a solid foundation on which you can create your sustainable success. I spoke about resilience. It's easier said than done. Oh, be resilient. A lot of people have said that to me. I'm like, how the hell do I be resilient? So what is the recipe for resilience? Let's look a little bit into that. First, this is applicable to me and to all of us, I would think, in our own business or endeavors that we involve ourselves in, but also important as educators, trainers, that we impart these qualities, this knowledge to our trainees or students. First, dig deep and understand the why. What does that mean? Why do we do what we do? Or why do I want to do what I want to do? And if you understood that, you'll be committed to that, and resilience will be easier to build. Next is embrace change. Remain fluid. Always be willing to change at a moment's notice. Learn from failure. If we get overwhelmed by the failures, in fact, I say failure because it's easy to understand, but I don't believe in failure. There's only feedback and learning. And then we move on to the next thing we do. So what do I mean by learn from failure? I mean, look, I spoke to you about the coffee business, right? Obviously it failed. It failed rather spectacularly. But the lessons learned is worth its weight in gold, or perhaps I should say worth its weight in the 2 tons of coffee beans I bought. Okay? So be willing to learn from it. It's human nature. We get upset, oh damn, I failed. There's no such thing as that. Everything is an opportunity to learn something from. Next, I mentioned adaptability. I identified 3 pillars of adaptability, which now we incorporate in our training and programs for entrepreneurs. The first is mindset. As I mentioned earlier, you've got to get the mind right. So what is the mindset I'm talking about here? I'm talking about accepting everything will change. Life, forget business, life as such, you don't know what's going to happen next minute. At 12:52 on 22nd February 2011, I was planning my meeting in the afternoon. Less than a minute later, I was sitting on the roadside bleeding and scratching my head, wondering what the hell happened. So that's how it is even in business. As entrepreneurs, we teach them that they need to be prepared for this. So that's mindset. Next, skill set. We must always be willing to develop our skills. Different things need different skills. As an entrepreneur in the same business, there are sets as we go along. And those skill sets will then help you build the tool sets that you need. And when I say tool sets, these could be how to make data-driven decision making, for example. It's a tool that you could use. The data is the tool in this case. The secret source of sustainable success, as I mentioned earlier, the key ingredients are resilience and adaptability. But there are a few other things to look at as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. As educators, one of the first things that I've realized, and many people have agreed with me, is that we don't really teach anybody anything. Hang on, you're a teacher, you don't teach. What we are facilitators. We need to be prepared to accept the fact that we facilitate our students' learning. That's what we do, and in real terms, that's the most important skill we can give them if we are teaching them or training them on anything. As we facilitate, we ourselves and indeed our students or trainees should also be thought to be pivotable. Pivot at a moment's notice, strategically. And if we did that, then what we are going to have is the ability to be continuously successful, which is what sustainable success is all about. Now, I mentioned the key ingredients are resilience and adaptability. And here are some other things. In fact, some of these things, they are precursors to resilience and adaptability. For example, when faced with a challenge, we need to show our students that they need to take the time to sit back and reflect on what has happened. You might need to get outside help from your teacher, trainer, coach, mentor, or whoever. I wouldn't recommend talking to your friend because your friend may not be equipped for it. So find the right person, sit back and reflect on what has happened and what needs to be done. And then these are all part, as I said, the precursors to building resilience. Next, have a rebuild mindset, attitude. I am rebuilding. See, successful people never change their goals. I love to say this to my students who are starting their entrepreneurship journey. One person that comes to mind is Steve Jobs. He was kicked out of Apple at one point. His goal was to become a successful IT-based entrepreneur. He said that in his book. But he was kicked out of Apple, something he founded. So what did he do? He went and started a company called Pixar, which created 3D animation. Eventually they got involved in movie making and it became the most successful animation company out there. They made movies like Toy Story, I think. One of the most successful till today. And guess what? Apple asked him to come back. So successful people don't change their goals, they change their tactics in getting, or rather achieving that goal. That's rebuilding. Reinvest. I'm not talking about money here. Of course, you'll need some of that, but that's a completely different story. Reinvest in yourself. Continuously keep improving yourself from wherever you are at that point. So what's the takeaway from all this? Resilience, adaptability, these are learned behaviors. I've had students who have come and said that, look, I am not like what you're talking about. I find it very hard to be resilient in the face of challenges, but it's a learned behavior. There's a methodology to it. We teach that methodology in order for them to be able to build that resilience. One thing I'd like to kind of, in a nice way, challenge everyone is to think about how we can ensure, not guarantee, but ensure triumph in everything we face by making incremental changes in what we do. Trying to change everything and become a tough guy tomorrow is not going to happen. So how do we do this slowly but surely? Something that we have been teaching students based in UK for some time now, and we have done it long enough. We can see results. People who are thinking about wrapping it up, we all face this challenge, don't we? Anything else would be better than this. We feel like that. We have had people who felt like that, and then they said, thanks to what I learned, actually I've managed to turn things around. So it's possible. Now, before I go to the next slide, there's another quick story I'd like to share. This happened in the UK. About a little over 100 years ago, a few women got together and they played a game. It's a sports, really. Back then, they were told, it's unbecoming of you ladies to be playing this game. Society ostracized them. Indeed, back then it was illegal for women to play this particular game or sports. What did these ladies do? They found the ability to be resilient. They changed their tactics. They went underground. The game they played, it's impossible to play it underground. They just changed the way they did it. They were playing this game or practicing it at night when everybody was asleep. Indoors, although this game was meant to be played outdoors, they tried it indoors. They played, they kept practicing, they didn't give up. 100 over years later, in the meantime, of course, society changed. And these ladies, what these ladies did rather, became acceptable. As it became slowly acceptable, about 20 odd years ago, maybe this is a good time for me to tell you what sports it was. It's football, as in what we call football in UK and Europe. 100 over years ago, women were banned from playing football. About 20 odd years ago, the movement started gathering momentum. More ladies football clubs were formed, funding and opportunities made available. A few years back, the ladies football team, which is aptly called, in my opinion, as the Lionesses, became the European champion. The men's football team didn't achieve that, but the women's football team did. Imagine those ladies who pioneered this 100 over years ago, if they gave up, if they failed to find the resilience in them to continue playing this. But what's really relevant to us as educators is that one of those ladies were interviewed when she was in her 80s or 90s, in late 80s. And she said it was her teacher who told her not to give up. The teacher told her, because they wanted to, her teacher told her, keep at it. Whether people accept or not, other people's opinion of you is irrelevant, he told her. So as educators, we are in a powerful position to impart knowledge and skills which will take our students or trainees or whatever we may call them in the long distance, or rather into the future, I should say. Every challenge, if we look at it as a problem, then that's all it will be, a problem. And I'm sure you have heard of this. If it will appear, that is. Now, for some reason, it's given up on me. Ah, there it is. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow. This, to me, is a fundamental mental shift in finding the reflection, in finding the resilience, everything that follows. If we see it as an opportunity, then our mind is going to be at ease to try and figure out how we get past the challenge and emerge triumphant. So, let's keep the conversation going, I guess. I would love to talk to everyone for the remaining of my time at this conference and also beyond. Now, those are some contact details. If scanning the QR code makes it easy, do so. Let's keep the conversation going. This is the key. Keep communicating, especially among us who are peers here. We have come to this conference as peers to learn from each other and understand what someone else is doing so that we can emulate that in what we are doing. So let's keep the conversation going. Now, that's the end of what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer either now or indeed throughout the remainder of my time here. Thank Thank you.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much, Roma-san. Now, we are going to have a little pause, just a very quick one. If anybody would like to stand up, have a little stretch, have a little walk around. And just as we did yesterday, we are going to take out our business cards. If you don't have a business card, you can share your LinkedIn. Find somebody who you haven't met yet, who you would like to connect with, meet somebody new in this industry. So now is the time, just for a couple of minutes whilst we reset our stage. So standing on up, everybody. Don't be shy. Now's the time. All right, everybody, this is only a couple of minutes to do some networking. Please don't run away. We have our next panel coming up in 1 to 2 minutes. Ready? All right, fantastic. Okay, everybody, let's take a seat. And we're going to move on to our next panel. Okay, everybody, let's take those seats. And it definitely sounds like we have made some new connections, done some networking, met some new people. Okay, take those seats. And now for our next session, our panel discussion. It is entitled Beyond Bullying Prevention, the Role of Empathy in Creating Inclusive School Environments. So we're going to delve into the emotional heart of education, empathy, and its role in creating safe, more welcoming schools. We'll explore how promoting empathy can go beyond traditional anti-bullying initiatives to build schools where every student feels valued and understood. So first of all, we are going to welcome up our moderator for this next panel. So it is Brigadier Sushil Vasin. Come on up. So he's a military-inspired leadership and team-building expert from SB Consultancy. Then I would like to welcome up our wonderful panelists for this session. Marianne Volante, owner of Mimark SA, MyMark, fantastic, MyMark SA, Anne Diaz, Director Academic Quality Assurance and Trainings of Vibgir Group of Schools, come on up, and Anu Pramod, Managing Director of People Pro Training Institute. Let's put our hands together for all of these wonderful panelists. And I'm going to pass it over to you, Sushil.
Good morning, everyone. That was not good enough. Good morning, everyone. How many of you, raise your hands if you went to school? Oh my God, all of you did. Brilliant audience. Okay. Anyone who went to school and got bullied? Any volunteers? Can you please stand up? Tell me, how did you feel when you got bullied? Very bad. Can you explain that bad? Okay. Humiliated. Feeling low. How many of you would like anyone else to feel that way? Well, I'll tell you that when I was very young, I got bullied in school. A few boys of my school got together, they bullied me, they even physically manhandled me, and I was very, very upset because I was alone and there were a group of people. I went back home and complained to my mother, and I said, I am going to take my revenge tomorrow. I'll have these people bashed up. I'll also take my friends. My grandfather in the other room heard me. So he called me. He said, what happened? So I told him what happened. He said, do you think what they did was right? I said, no, not at all. He said, but tomorrow you're going to do the same thing, you said. Are you going to compete with them on being worse than what they are? So I just kept quiet. And then he told me how one could raise their level instead of lowering down to their level. That was my first lesson of learning how to, not to get bullied. But we today are going to focus a lot on how to prevent bullying and also on how to use empathy as a tool to prevent bullying in our school environment. We are expecting all of you to take part in this, and one way is to follow this QR code and put questions there. If you have a question, scan the QR code, put your question there, and we promise you that we will answer all the questions. I know the MC will not let us have that much of time, so the QR code is, we are going to mail to you the answers to all these questions within 10 days. So that's a promise. And you may get a bonus of getting a gist of what we spoke today with those questions. So let me start with my esteemed panel. And I want to go straight ahead to Anu. Anu, you've been in school for long and you experienced all this type of bullying that happens. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you, Brigadier Sushil. As part of People Pro, we provide SEL programs for schools, K to 12. And we see bullying happening all across, despite ages. And bullying definitely, despite all that is being done now to prevent it or to educate children and adults on bullying and the effects, we still see it in different forms. Bullying is not just about physical bullying, right? Bullying is a lot of different types. Physical, verbal, social, racial, religious, sexual, cyber. There's so many different types of bullying all around us. To answer your question, I'll just state 3 examples which will bring to light. These are 3 different types of bullying in 3 different ages in the school that I have seen with my own eyes. One is a year 7 student who is doing really well in school, but when he gets back home, his dad, despite that child studying for 7 hours a day, the father keeps saying he's not studying enough. It reached to a point where the child literally went upstairs to the top of his building to jump off because he couldn't take the pressure anymore. Year 7 student. Thankfully, we came across this child. We managed to talk to him. We managed to get him to converse with his parents. And today he's an ambassador for us. But he faced bullying. Year 8. This is a girl. She got onto social media, got friendly with somebody, and that man started stalking her and threatening her to reveal the relationship if she doesn't do the things that he asked her to. She couldn't say that to anybody. The way she would overcome it was by slashing her hands every time this happened. We could help her too. And then this is in year 13. He is 18 years old. He was heavily built. He lacked confidence, and his classmates did not really help that situation at all. They kept telling him he's too fat, he is not good enough, and so that child never had that confidence. You know, bullying can come up in various forms from different avenues. It can be parents, teachers, students, different ways. So I've seen a lot of these incidents of bullying in my experience.
Very good. So you got to see how bullying is not only physical, it's many ways. Let me just follow up that with another experience that I had. I used to be running a camp for children, and in the camp one day, a 9th class boy tells me, he said, "Sir, can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." He said, "How long will I keep chasing my potential?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm a good student academically. I go home, and if on my report card there is 1 B and 6 A's, my mother gets to only ask me." I say, "Oh, see my report card." She says, "What is this B doing here?" She never appreciates those 6 A's. She only talks about the B. And yesterday when I went home, I was very, very excited. I went home. I said, "Mom, I scored 40 runs today in my school, and I was the highest scorer." She hugged him, she kissed him, and said, "You could have easily scored 100. She thought she was encouraging him, but she was not. She was really speaking, bullying him, right? How many of you agree that that is actually bullying without knowing you are doing that? It's not encouragement. Yeah. Will you have a question? No, okay. No. Okay. Right. So, and let's get to you. You got 20 years of school experience, and you are now managing 40 schools. What do you think the teachers play a role in bullying?
Thank you for the question. Yes, as part of teacher training for all our group schools, I have realized that we normally always speak about students bullying, and it's really spoken. But very few good schools I've seen that they consider even teachers or administrative staff or the teaching faculty also can go through bullying. And bullying can be done by students, can be done by peers, and can be done by administrative or senior faculty. So it happens in all 3 stages. To validate or clarify my point, I can share one experience which I personally went through when I was a teacher. Because administrating, I started 20 years ago, but before that as a teacher, my first job, when I started, back in India, we have something, the head of department system. So I was given then to create 5 question sets across grades, which usually doesn't happen, and it is not given to a new teacher to do, because they expect that the higher grades seasoned or experienced teachers do it. And when the actual papers were printed, I realized that out of 5, 4 of my papers were used. So I realized that sometimes administrators or HODs, they see novices, new people, and they tend to give them work, or they take care of their friend circle and kind of put you under pressure to get work done, which is good, because positively I would take it up that was a good learning experience, but a stressful one. And sometimes seniors do take advantage of their position and power. If I have to quote another example of teachers, what I have seen, not really in our schools, in general, there's a lot of cyberbullying which has started. So students have, especially higher grades, they make their own WhatsApp group, they use different social medias, and they discuss and rag teachers in that group. So there is a lot of unhealthy tone which gets spoken of in these groups. So as Anu was speaking about today, digital literacy, the previous panelist was talking about fake news and all that. And media used constructively, it is very good. If not, it is wildfire. And I have personally done few counseling. It does have a lot of impact on teachers. Though teaching job for me is not a profession, it's a vocation. But due to this bullying, I have seen few of the good teachers leaving this profession and moving out something because they are too tired of dealing with students and parents. Because I know one case where this student had a background in ministry as such. So he used to always have these airs up, mera baap, ye hai, XYZ, and throw his weight around in class for all the teachers. So teachers were scared, petrified to say something. So students bully, peers bully, administrators. So teachers are definitely on the receiving end sometimes.
Very good. So that was another perspective. I want to now get on to some of the preventions. What tools, what preventive measures can be used? And for that, we'll go to Marian, who has a very good experience on that. So how can we prevent all this?
Thank you. I think my experience shows that bullying is the result of an unhealthy relationship. And that's why prevention is learning, knowing how relationships work. Why do I have an unhealthy relationship, and with whom, and why is this happening? So we have to go back to understand who are we, how are we made, what is our personality, and try to understand what is happening with the person who bullies or is being bullied. So the basis is understand your personality, why you react in a certain way with certain people. And their parents, I have 15 years of experience with family coaching, is to make the kids understand that it takes always two. It's not the victim and the actor, no, it's what happens between two people. So I think the prevention is go back, who am I? Why do I react in a certain way with this very person? Okay? And then we learn, we heard before in other occasions, other speakers said, we learn in relationships, we learn in challenges, and bullying is a challenge, of course.
Absolutely. What about more of parents bullying? Anu?
Yes, I think I am also at times at fault. I can probably call myself a bully at times. Sometimes we tend to think we are parents, and so we have the right to say certain things to our children. And in a sense, that could also be seen as bullying, although it's not much spoken about. So it's a very valid question that Brigadier brought out. I think even in your experience, you would have seen that there are a lot of cases where the children are undergoing trauma because of the situation back at home, right? It doesn't even have to be the society. It doesn't have to be peers. It doesn't have to be teachers. It's not the society. It's your own home. If a child is probably not taking care of his or her health, the parents tend to talk about it. Instead of motivating that child, they're putting that child down, and that child never gets to work on his or her health, etc. Don't you think so, Marianne? Do you ever face that?
Thank you, Anu. It's the humiliation of people we also do as parents. I, for example, humiliated my son because he was extremely cautious child. And I thought, how will he be able to defend himself once he's big? So I pushed him. I said, come on, go, you're a coward, go. This is a form of bullying as a mother, because he did not live up to my expectations as a boy, how as a boy to behave. So I bullied him in the sense of I told him how he should be.
True. Sometimes we think the intentions are right, so it's okay, but I think we do more harm than good through
Yeah.
this whole thing.
I think it's about uh, allowing the child. Every child comes to this planet for their purpose, not for the parents' purpose. And many parents like to live their ambitions through their children. Oh, I couldn't become a doctor, you must become a doctor. And I'll tell you one thing. This very soft form of bullying takes a long, deep impact on the child of the life. I know of a girl who became a doctor because all her life she was told right from the beginning, you must become a doctor, because her father was a doctor. And he wanted his daughter. Who is he to want his daughter is the question, to become a doctor. So she became a doctor. And after 5 years of MBBS, when she got her degree and there was a celebration, he had a lot of people at home and he said, this party is in honor of my daughter who's become a doctor. And after that, he said, can I take the mic? She went on the stage and she said, ladies and gentlemen, I became a doctor because my father wanted me to be a doctor. But that's not what I wanted to be. So from tomorrow, I'm taking up the interior decoration course because that's what my life is going to be. My point is not many children will do that, but they will continue to live in a profession which was not their passion. So I think it is very important for us to support our children in their purpose and not push ourselves. And that is why bullying happens in many ways, like what Anu said in the beginning. It is parents, it is children, it is peers. It could be anyone. So it is basically to prevent this. And yes, now let's look at this empathy. That is the tool we are talking about, that instead of telling people, tell people, they don't listen. They have to get to the root cause, like you just heard the previous speaker talking about. Why is it happening? What is the why of empathy? So let's start with Anne. And what do you think is empathy, and how can we bring it into schools from all angles, from parents, teachers, children? How can we prevent bullying through empathy? Because that is by root. If you understand what empathy is, then you understand why I should be bullying. That would be it.
For me, empathy, I would say, begins with the word respect. And being a teacher, and English teacher, I used to make a lot of acrostics and mind maps to help in my teaching. So I'll go with the word respect and then the acrostic of that, to convey my message. So R would stand for recognize and report. So first step to understand what is bullying is to recognize that it is happening in our schools. Because half of that time we are in denial mode. We feel there's nothing really going wrong anywhere in our schools, in our communities, in our homes, nothing. So first step is to recognize it and provide a platform for students, teachers, all stakeholders in school, a safe mechanism to report this bullying. Because still the first essential thing of reporting doesn't happen, we will never be in a position to help, the person or the victim in this situation. So R stands for recognize, report. E, since we are a school, educate. Educate all the stakeholders, as rightly said by you, the impact of bullying. Because sometimes the person who is actually bullying is, what I've seen with my experience, is going through a lot of turmoil in his or her own life. They are struggling with their challenges and don't know how to deal with that. So they land up, affecting the lives of somebody else. So it is important that first, we educate all our stakeholders of what is bullying, what harmful effects it has. As rightly said, a long-term impact it makes on people's life. So that R would be educate. S is support. So create a support system which will have good resources, provided to all these people who are bullied. Have support teams created in the school with counselors and all. So we have it in our schools. We call it the PLC, Personalized Learning Center, where we have professional counselors who help with any kind of behavioral issues, so they can help us. P is sorry?
They can't hear.
Oh, am I audible now?
Yeah.
All right. So P would stand for protect. So as heads from the management, create policies which are anti-bullying acts and policies. So I know of my own son's college. They have a deed which has all the clauses of bullying, what impact, what are the things, the college initiatives they will take in case they find somebody being bullied, and they have made different levels of it. So it was a beautiful agreement made, and it is signed by the student himself with the college as such. So protect, all your stakeholders by having good policies which will ensure that we at least strive towards a bully-free, environment. Then comes again E. I would say here the administrative encourage the administrators to act promptly, because at times I've seen that because there's a situation like how Anu was talking, the person was not having the courage to speak up, didn't know whom to go and get the answers for. So we should encourage the administrator. So we have in India created something called the POSH committee, that is more got to do with sexual harassment, but of course bullying is all, as she said, physical, social, verbal, everything. So create such a type of forum or committees and all that, which can help do it. And our administrators, whoever is in power and position, should take prompt action on it. So before further damages are done over there. So that is like R. I'll just reinforce before I go to the last one. Recognize and report. E is to educate. S is support. P is to protect by having, I would say, guidance also with counseling and mental health, workshops and all that created. Encourage, and last but not the least is training, which I think I'm passionate about, because as we've been speaking about in all the things, training has to be not on that day, ongoing, a lot of hand-holding, so that these long-term effects get minimized, and a lot of good. Yesterday also we heard a panelist, today he's doing very well, and he was bullied. So there is, I would say, every child is like a stone, and we as educators, if we polish it, that student is capable to be a diamond, a solitaire, to shine out in the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was brilliant. Respect. Yeah. So let's go to Anu. Anu, what do you think about empathy? And in your experience, how have you been able to use it not only to prevent bullying, but also create an inclusive environment in the school?
Thank you. So I think Anne has covered a lot of the points, but I believe it's not just about empathy. There are so many other skills that we need to bring in order to make it more inclusive. I think here, living in Dubai, we've been able to get the experience of having a more inclusive kind of schools here, because KHDA encourages all schools to be more inclusive. But there's still so much left to be done, because I think we still have so many biases in our minds about color and race and the type of people that are there. There's so much left to be done that we have to change the mindset of people. And so it's not just about empathy, it is the beginning. Empathy is the beginning. But in order to create an inclusive environment where the teachers are educated, the parents are educated, and the students are educated, we have to bring the whole society together and teach them mutual respect and conflict resolution and emotional intelligence, not just empathy. Empathy is a part of emotional intelligence. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and we get so many cases of adults and students where they are grappling with a lot of issues simply because emotional intelligence is lacking. So I think there's a lot of effort that needs to be put in. there is a lot of effort being put in, but I think the whole society needs to come together to ensure that our students get to live a life, live out their purpose in life without having to meet the expectations or the biases of those around them. That if Marianne is from another country, I should be able to accept her as she is, and not based on her color or from where she is or the way she speaks, but she's a person. She comes with her own talent. This is something that we need to keep encouraging our children to see beyond certain prejudices that we have built into their hearts. We have, and we are giving it to our children also. So through our programs, we've been trying to do that. K to 12 students, teachers, parents, trying to build a generation that will stand up, be a voice for the voiceless. So I think all of us need to get together and do it, right?
Thank you very much. That is good. You have a very good tool, Marianne. How do you use that tool to prevent bullying?
I would like to start with the fact that it is really, as Anna said, it's about understanding, it's about accepting. And how can I accept and understand if I don't know myself, if I don't know the other? It's all based on self-perception, and that's why talking about our tool and method, it's based on fingerprints, and this is not biased because you cannot fake the fingerprints, you cannot influence the fingerprint. They are there from the 4th month of pregnancy until we die, uninfluenceable and not manipulated. So the point is, it is just a tool to start to understand how was I when I was born, and then of course it's all the education, the influence, the culture, the country where I live in and so on. The education, parents is extremely vital, but there is always a basis, and this helps to accept, because only if I accept myself I can be empathic. I cannot be empathic if I don't accept myself. If I'm angry with myself, if I have been humiliated lifelong, I cannot be empathic. It's just the equation which doesn't work out, okay? So the key is understanding, accepting based on knowledge, knowing who we are. There are many tools. We have just one. Of course, it's the best, but
It all starts with us.
Okay. That was nice. Now, I want all of you, one by one, to give me a very nice, very impactful closing message on what would you think about prevention with empathy. But before that, I'll just share a small story of a camp I used to be running, I told you, and in that camp we had an obstacle course in which there was a little heavy girl who was looking for help, and there was a boy on a platform which was about 4 feet high, and he was pulling her up. And there was another chap, the so-called bully, who from a distance said, "Don't do that, your shoulder may dislocate." You could see the girl feeling very bad. But anyway, the activity continued. When we finished the activity and we were doing debriefing, we asked for glad, sad, and mad moments. And when we came to sad, nobody was saying something. So my co-facilitator asked this girl, "What happened? Can you share your experience?" She stood up. She wanted to say something. She said 1 or 2 words which nobody heard, and she started sobbing. And that sob turned into a very, very loud crying. There was absolutely a pin drop silence. We closed the activity. We said, "Let's have a tea break." Went for a tea break. And in that tea break, I was sitting with the principal and with teacher of the school, and this boy comes and he says, "Ma'am, I'm very, very sorry for what I have done. I have today realized what happens when you when you cause hurt to somebody. And I will never in my life ever say something that can hurt anyone. This was, I thought, an experiential way of making a person realize that bullying was bad. Now, let's go to one by one, and let me get your views on your most impactful thing you want to leave as a message for the audience to on what you have to say on the subject.
So I'll go with my son experience, because when my son was in the primary grades, he was bullied. Now he has my kind of complexion. So the students, they used to switch off the lights and tell Nathan, where are you? Or if there is a tree and there's a crow sitting over there, they would tell, Nathan, what are you doing over there? Kind of on the bark of the tree sitting outside the window of the classroom. So as a mother, I've seen my child suffer, go through so much so he hated going to school, wanting to be in that space because he found it very difficult to go there. It affected his self-esteem. He had very less friends. So he had very few friends in his school days, and it does have a lot of impact in the way he felt he looked, as his identification. So I would say, as today, maybe, I don't know, that was one way of, me learning very hard lessons, that what really impacts, because I've seen that very closely as a mother in the journey. So I had taken this promise that whenever, I will be in a position where I can change policies and create policy, I will definitely add policies in such a way which will really create a conducive learning environment for every child. And that's when this thought of having a PLC system for our group of schools, I've created an entire manual as to what are the do's and don'ts to do and how to deal with it. We have regular workshops for children as such to do it. So my just takeaway, use your heart, and this is a very emotional thing. In every child there is a leader, there is an entrepreneur, and if we don't see it right from the root causes, from the childhood, I would say, and the root causes of what is really going to hamper this growth, we have not lost a child, we have lost the whole universe, I would say, because that child could really create an impact in the world. So be sensitive, be loving, and be empathic, because sympathy will help you for a day, but empathy will be a lifelong learning support system for the child to create a difference in the world.
Thank you. Anu?
When I was growing up, in my school, I was an introvert. I was very shy and really scared to come up on a stage till I reached university. And somebody saw something in me that people hadn't seen for some time and helped me discover who I am. And now I'm on this journey and this mission to help others discover who they are. Sometimes people don't see what's in them until somebody shines that light on you. So we are here on a mission right now to shine that light onto students, to help them see who they are. Actually, they are all masterpieces. There's no two people built the same way in this whole wide world. There's only one Anu, there's only one Marianne and Anne and Brigadier Sushil. And we all have our purpose here in life. And so every single day when I get up, this is our goal, this is my goal. And this is the goal of our organization. This is something that we motivate, encourage everybody to do. Rita Pearson, an educator in the US, said, every kid needs a champion. And most of the time the bullies are people who have, research shows that they have cognitive empathy maybe. They know how the other person is feeling and they know what's happening to the person they're bullying. But they don't have emotional empathy, they say. So they are unable to understand. So we need to, help our children understand, get that emotional intelligence. It has to be structured. It has to be regularly practiced. It cannot be done as a workshop. It cannot be done as an assembly. It cannot be done once in a while. It has to be regularly practiced within the school environment by everybody concerned. And I think that is where the change starts. The change starts with me. The change starts with you. We all together can build this environment or this society where everybody feels loved and wanted.
I'm touched. It's really touching. Huh? I almost cried. I think this is the key. And the key starts with the children. What I learned with the family coaching is that we don't listen to the kids. And why should we listen to the kids? Because they are still wise. They are free. They are not conditioned. They are not hypnotized by social beliefs, by roles. You have to be like this because you are a woman, and so on and so on. I give you an example. In a family coaching, a mother and an 11-year-old child sitting next to her, she looked at him and said, "You know that I love you, do you?" He looked at her and said, "Yes, Mom, I think you love me, but you don't accept me." That is what the kids can learn as, because they feel. They have the direct flow of energy. We can talk and talk with the kids and instruct them and give them advice. No, it's the emotions. It's what we do, how we act. And this is what we have to learn. Why do we act in a certain way? And there we go back to who are we. So my appeal is, don't stop learning who you are. Start with the kids. Take the chance with any kid. Make questions, real questions, not control questions. How was it in school today? And then you learn, and you will be more and more satisfied that, as it was said by my friends here, we are all different. So start this adventure, how different you are, with your strengths, potentials, and of course also challenges and weaknesses. Thank you.
Can I add something? You said we have to listen. If we have to listen, if we have to listen, they have to speak. If they have to speak,
We have to listen.
we have to allow them the environment where they can say what they want. Right? We say, okay, we are here to listen. But very often in our experience, we see that these children have not been able to share some things with their parents because we parents tend to be very judgmental, right? Yes.
So, Anu, just I will add, so when you listen, I think the way God has created us also, if you look at the shape of our ear, it's something like this. So if I join both my ears,
It's like a heart.
we've been created with 2 ears to join as a heart. So let's listen with our heart and in the loving listening, ideology, because that will make, like one Marian said, that we all are there, but do we really accept the person? And if we accept them with love.
Okay, thank you. We have another minute or so for questions, and I've got two questions. One is Lawrence and one is Saima. Others, you haven't put your questions on the QR code. Yeah,
There
Saima.
is no QR.
A very good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. This is Dr. Saima Khan, and I'm the program leader of psychology department at BSU Iraq. It's a British university. As you talked about bullying, so there are just some statistics. It's from the National Bullying Prevention Center. It says that 20% only the bullying is reported. 80% is unreported. Because children, when they are bullied, or adolescents or whatever age, they don't report it. So that is the key area which has to be highlighted. And the schools Unfortunately, I tried to approach a few schools in Ras Al Khaimah. They did not allow us to go there and give some workshops on bullying. I think the schools should allow these kind of workshops, because if we empower the children to be able and strengthened to report the bullying, even then we can prevent it. If they can't even report it, how can we expect them to come over it, right? So that was one thing I wanted to add. And the question I just raised was, when it's happening, how to handle it. Like, it psychologically affects the person. Later on it becomes social or moral or emotional. Psychologically, if it impacts the person, he is drowned already. So while it's happening, how do we counter it and how do we handle it? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so we have just few seconds left. So I would say that, in such situations, because I've gone through this as a mother myself, all stakeholders, that is your friends, your peers, your school teachers, because I think as a teacher, we know we made a lot of impact in the child's life. A small word, a saying, a good, well done, makes a lot of difference in the child. So all stakeholders together should first understand the case, what the child is going through, maybe do a little case study on their background and everything, and accordingly plan a personalized intervention program to help the child and have regular observations, discussions, milestone recording, whether there is a positive learning curve happening in the child. If all stakeholders involved and the people who matter the most in the child's life are united, and with that never to give up, resilient, thought process, surely, slowly, steadily, we will bring a positive impact in the child's life.
Thank you. I'll just add to say that in schools, it is important that we create that environment where reporting becomes a very easy thing. People don't hesitate, because a person who's going through it, that time if the reporting is done immediately, you can salvage the situation. Thank you very much.
I would like to add something about the reporting.
I don't know whether they allow us time now, because we already have.
Huh? Yes, I think
Okay, go
very important is the message to the kids that who is being bullied knows that actually it's about, the problem is in the bullier. It's the kid bullying the others who has a problem. So this helps, this encourages to talk to the teachers, to talk to the parents, when they know, no, actually it's more about the person, the other kids than me, okay? This is a first start. Then, of course, all the knowledge.
Okay, I had promised that all your questions will be answered, but we have only got another Lawrence, but we don't have time for another question. We'll answer your questions in email. Even now, send them to us. We are putting up the QR code again. Thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that very informative talk indeed. And of course, if you do have more questions when we head out to lunch out there in the foyer, please make sure that you head on over and speak to all of our panelists there. So next up, we are going to invite our next speaker up onto the stage. Now, this next session is entitled Embracing Pass and Fail, the case for a more flexible grading system. So I would like to welcome up here onto the stage Mrs. Nandita Brahmbhatt, the co-founder of Entrepreneur Success Foundry Limited. Let's please put our hands together for Mrs. Nandita.
Hello and good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're all still awake? Fabulous. Well, welcome to this session. I'm going to begin with just acknowledging that we have a very international audience. So I believe within your own frameworks of education and teaching, the grading systems will greatly differ from one and another. So maybe you do operate in a system which is strictly pass and fail, and again, depending on which level you sit at as an educator. However, there are others that do sit on a much more scaled grading system. So, for example, in the UK, at various educational levels where it matters, it comes like as A, a B, a C, D, etc. in terms of how the student is graded with their outcomes of their teaching. However, I feel before we go into the specificity of a grading system, it's very important that we address the principles of the outcome that we are trying to produce as educators. So essentially, our role is to create individuals that are prepared for a future in the workforce, or whether they're going to be running companies of their own or be leaders in other companies. So the outcome we're trying to create is empowered individuals who have the ability to handle both success and failure. So what do I mean by this? I mean, occasionally when people achieve great success, even that can impact them both positively and negatively. So equipping them with the tools, the abilities, and also the strength to handle both success and failure, having the capacity to understand the meaning of that is far more important. So we have a huge responsibility as educators to create empowered individuals to go out and pursue their own careers. And how we lay those foundations has such a huge impact in the way that these individuals are able to handle both success and failure. I'm going to refer to a quote which many of us may have heard many a time in the world, which is, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. So the first part about addressing success and failure is very much about identification of strengths and weaknesses. So as educators, we have the responsibility of delivering a core curriculum or a baseline so that they are able, the students are able to leave with a baseline of skills, of abilities, of things that they feel confident that they can go out and utilize in the workforce. However, in my role today, I see so many business people coming to me with the same complaint. And there is an article in the magazines we've also been given, which states that by 2025, 50% of the workforce will need to go and retrain and upskill. So what is the reason for this? We've had so many speakers over the last day and a half talking about the emergence of new technologies, of the impact of AI, of all the different advancements that are taking place within the educational space. These are also impacting the industry, the workforce, and companies at a large. So when I hear business owners telling me, I'm really struggling to build teams of A players. I'm struggling to find fantastic employees. I'm really struggling to find people who are motivated to innovate and create new developments within the company. It's because we're not empowering our students to fail. So why do I say this? In this context, I'm going to quote the CTO of Amazon. Now, we all know that Amazon is a well-used, well-known company within all of our day-to-day lives. But today, they celebrate failure within their teams. And why do they do this? Because when you're constantly innovating, you're experimenting. And when you experiment, you cannot, by any measure, know the exact output of what is going to come of your experiment. That is the nature of experimentation and innovation. Therefore, we must celebrate when our teams are failing. when their career is at stake for failing, or they feel they're going to be punished as an employee for not reaching what may be success in a project, they're not going to be open to be honest about where their project is at. So often the failure continues for longer than it needs to. This has a financial impact, has a psychological impact, but also has a huge impact on the company as a whole in its ability to become a true innovator. Therefore, in this whole world of huge advances in technology and innovation, we discussed this many a times, that what we're creating in students is true curiosity, creativity, and a passion for lifelong learning. And how will we cultivate that when we actually start to celebrate failure? So it is our role as educators to implant that culture from a very, very early stage. Therefore, if our students are going to become employees in the workforce, or even if they're going to become leaders of the companies, they will become accustomed to acknowledging that failure is an integral part of creating innovation, of creating forward progression. So the example I'm going to give you and why Amazon has really been able to embrace this and create the level of technology that it has. Amazon was not able to buy the technology it required to operate its company from a standard software company or just off the shelf. Therefore, it had to create a lot of its tech with its own developers and in-house. So as you can imagine, that requires a huge amount of development, a huge amount of building a team that is prepared to invest in experimentation. So experimentation, provided that it's measured, and then we take the learnings from those measurements, is bound to lead to success. But the process of getting to success is going to require multiple failures. So when these failures are acknowledged early, we can often reduce the pain and, like I said, the economic and financial impact of these failures. Whereas when we don't celebrate the failure, when we don't acknowledge that it's an integral part of innovation and growth, then the failure continues for longer and the negative impacts are actually bigger and longer. On Thursday, I was part of a seminar where I listened to Stephen Bartlett. Many of you may know about his company and what he does. He also mentioned that one of the things that they do is celebrate 1% success, a 1% increase in improvements within the company. So in order to achieve that, sometimes we have to fail in order to get those improvements. So they celebrate both, the people who are able to create the improvements, as well as the people who are able to fail the most in order to reach those improvements. So we can see there are many successful companies today that are embracing and celebrating failure. And as I said, we need to take this right back to the beginnings, right back to when those students begin their journey in education. Because when the culture of failure is celebrated, as opposed to being filled with shame and guilt, being filled with negative connotations, actually students become more curious. How many more things can I try? How many more things can I learn? How many more things can I contribute? And this is where true impact is created. So I've mentioned some of these larger organizations, but when it comes back to the education system, having a pass or a fail, or having a scaled grading system is not as important as how we label the success of failure. How we create a frame in the mind of these students of what the meaning of these words are. So often, we heard a little bit in the bullying session as well, that the meaning of these words can come from our educators, they can come from our parents, they can also come from our peers. Often having a competitive environment is absolutely essential because that's what creates the desire to compete, to succeed, to create new things. with technology taking over so much of our mundane work, including for the students, when they know they can use AI and other technologies to get some of the basic things done. Yesterday, we heard someone say that we have to almost use some of these tools like we use the calculator. Use them to do some of the simple things so we can use our mind and our brains for what they were designed for, which is actual thinking. However, when we think and create for ourselves, sometimes we're afraid that what we may come up with may be disliked, it may be disapproved of, and actually we won't be recognized as a success for what we've come up with. But that critical thinking is what is going to lead to the next generation of leaders. It's going to lead to the people who are going to be able to take this next emerging students that are coming through the system to a level of success within the workplace, within the future of our countries, within the future of our companies, within the future of our communities. This is why it is so important for us as educators to really create the meaning of success and failure very importantly in the minds of our students. We have a great responsibility to, first of all, understand it for ourselves, to reflect, how did I perceive success and failure as I grew up through my education system? And now, how am I portraying some of my own past, the way I was raised, onto my students? And again, the organizations we work within or run, how are we portraying success and failure? Oftentimes it comes down to what our own beliefs are about it. They're so deep-rooted and subconscious that that meaning of success and failure, when we can truly recognize how we perceive it, then we can actually take it to our students and help them to understand that in order to truly succeed, truly to become members of a community, a company, or a country that lead to growth, we have to understand the difference of the two and why both are so closely intertwined. Understanding individuals' own capabilities is something that I feel is a true failure today of the education system. Often, because the quote I mentioned, we grade everybody on exactly the same standards with exactly the same measures. I think the introduction of the new technologies and the artificial intelligence that is available to us, it will make it easier for educators to actually personalize some of the learnings. I, as an educator myself, understand the burden of having multiple students who have multiple capabilities and trying to cater to their individual needs and helping them to develop their own skill sets, their own passion, their own drive. Because it is tough when you have, as a teacher, so many different students to help. It's difficult to personalize and tailor their learnings. But as I said, when we embrace the new technologies, that will remove some of that burden. But truly, it has to come from us within. As I said, the education companies that we run, the programs that we teach, and the outputs of those can truly have much, much more impact when we are able to understand what our beliefs around success and failure are. When we're able to come with that empowered mindset, we will then create curriculums and methodologies that will create students that will be prepared for the new work environment, where they will be using technology to remove some of the mundane stuff they have to do, where they will truly be able to be creative, collaborate, create meaningful impact with the work that they do, and actually have the opportunity to feel incredibly proud of it. It will help them to really establish what their true passions are. Like we heard during the bullying session, that oftentimes, because of these, like broad brushstroke grading systems of this attribution of success to very specific measures, it's created students who are striving for singular success. Like, this is what success looks like. Whereas now, we have the opportunity to give them a more tailored education, give them an opportunity to question, what is it that I truly want to study? Somebody in the audience yesterday mentioned that it has to be student-led now. It has to be where they are able to choose what they want to study. In the past, I'm going to give an example of my education. When I wasn't good at maths, my parents gave me maths tutoring to help me excel in that subject. But they didn't recognize that I was excellent at science. And they didn't want to push my area of genius. They didn't want to give me the opportunity to explore how much further can I go to reach my potential in that field. So when we're able to recognize an area of genius within our students, whether it be through the power of observation as an educator, because once the technology frees up our time and gives us the opportunity to establish and highlight some of these things, we can then put more focus on ensuring that those students reach their true potential much earlier. There are times I've seen, exactly like the example that was mentioned previously, students wasting 10, 20, 30 years of their life studying and working in an area or an industry that didn't really suit them, that didn't really fill them with incredible joy and incredible excitement. So this is something that truly makes me feel like the possibilities of today are like a time that we've never seen before. When we use our own observational skills as educators, when we are able to leverage the power of AI to establish what is it in this student, in this person I'm working with, that really needs to be nurtured further, so they can go out in the world and create much bigger impact, that can truly create leaders, that can truly create team members that are getting up every single day excited to do what they do best, as opposed to feeling like they are stuck in a space where they're being suffocated or they're being made to do things because that is what is perceived as a success. So when we embrace this technology in this time, where we can create more personalized education, where we can empower individual students to succeed in an area where they feel incredibly excited, passionate, where they feel like I can actually make a difference, whether it be to my immediate surroundings in my team, and give such valuable contribution that it's bound to be a success. That also can work with their teams and empower them to grow and become the best of what they can possibly be. And I think this is what truly differentiates us. As human beings, we are able to discover what those individual differences are, work on those individual differences, and create an impact based on that. So I feel like the system has been very standardized for a long, long time, and up to a certain stage, that is vital because it gives core skills, it gives an opportunity for everyone to have an equal opportunity to thrive, to grow, and gain certain things that gives them an equal playing field. But there comes a point where each individual really needs to embrace the path that they were built for, what it is that they are truly made to go and do in the world. And sometimes, again, I heard this just recently, that we don't just have to have one passion or one skill that we're good at. And often in pursuit of that one passion, again, we waste many, many years of our life. So if we can utilize, whether it be a very black and white system of pass and fail, but not make it that failure is final. A student can fail this time round, but they have the opportunity to try again. This will carry them forward into the future to be able to create a life and a world where they know that if they fail, the opportunity is there for them to get back up and do things and attempt them again. So whether it is a scaled grading system, whereby certain grades allow them to get into elite institutions of further education, whether they're accepted into big companies, or whether it gives them the confidence to go out and create the new emerging companies that are going to be the most impactful in our economies for the future. We need to understand and acknowledge, first and foremost, what it is that we want to do in order to create that new world and that new workforce. So either way, as I said, we're all from very different countries with very different grading systems. I would say that if there's one big takeaway message from today's session is failure is not final. Failure is an opportunity to try again. It is an opportunity to learn. And the faster we acknowledge that failure and learn from it and grow from it, the faster that we have the opportunity to reach success. So if we can take this back into the worlds we operate in and empower our students, empower ourselves. Preparing for this today gave me the opportunity to go back and revisit some of my own beliefs. Why is it that I have struggled when I have failed? Why is it that I've not been able to get back up faster and go back and reattempt something? And actually, how am I going to do things differently from today? Like I said, whether it be for myself or whether it be with the entrepreneurs I work with. When I can show them that they are also allowed to fail and they are also allowed to acknowledge that failure as a learning and not as something that is a bad thing or a shameful thing, that has a huge ripple effect on the people that they work with, whether it be their teams that they manage or much further downstream into the new emerging teammates that they take on. The people they employ changes because actually they start employing people who are ready to innovate, who are ready to take risks. Innovation and experimentation comes with a fairly large level of risk. I'm going to quote the CTO again of Amazon. He mentions a lot of failures in the journey that they've taken. So one of the examples was when they were creating the Amazon phone, they had to write off £800 million worth of project funds, which was not a success. Now, sometimes when some of us think of that level of failure, we're like, wow, that's a lot of money to waste on experimentation and trying things out. But today, they're looking for projects where it's 20 billion being added to their balance sheet from a project. So they're going to continue to innovate. Those few failures that they've made is another example that he gives of they created a shopping soulmate type thing. So somebody else who shops like you on Amazon. And you know what? The customers hated it. They completely rejected this whole concept because they didn't like that there was somebody else out there like them. They then went and did some more innovation, and they've given us different tools of AI within the platform which gives recommendations, things that other people have bought. But again, they had to fail fast, take the learnings from those innovations and experiences. I've given some of these examples so that we ourselves can think about what is the impact of some of those failures. There may be financial impacts. There may be impacts of us not actually be amazing, but actually looking back at our audience, looking back at our customer base, looking back at our students and going, what do they actually need? Questioning ourselves again. And coming back with a new opportunity, coming back with a new thought. And that is what I, myself, am going to do differently. I'm going to look at my customers, my students, I'm going to look at my entrepreneurs with a different angle of curiosity and think, what do they actually need? What products and services do we need to create within our company that mean that we're going to address their real problems? Not something that I am romantically in love with because I think I created it and it was a wonderful project. It's okay to scrap that project because actually it wasn't what was required or needed. So I want to create a more empowering team. I want to create more empowered customers and students that actually feel ready, that they can embrace failure, and that can be something which actually leads to a more exciting future, a future where new technologies continue to be created, where new opportunities are created, because we're not just doing things the same way that we've always done them. As I mentioned, this comes with heavy risk, and there is a huge potential for things to go quite wrong. But if we can accept that as part of the process of experimentation. I told you earlier that actually deep down I love science and I've always loved science. But again, preparing for today made me understand why. That actually there is a huge excitement in experimentation, a huge excitement in exploring uncharted territory, in going above and beyond what we already know and think and believe. And sometimes there is a lot of fear of new technologies emerging and taking over the roles that we currently do. Instead of feeling an excitement, that actually it means that we can go out and do exploration that is so much further beyond what we're currently doing. And having that curiosity that how much further can we take things? How much more can we empower our students? Think about it, they're going to be teaching us a lot more too, because they are going to be having an open mind, an ability to question things beyond what we even question. And that is how true exploration and further experimentation have happened in the world. That is how exciting companies have come into being. So change, as scary as it is, experimentation and risk, as scary as it is, I think it is the opportunity for us in this room as true educators, as people who are passionate about passing on learning, for us to take a few learnings that mean that we can change our approach, especially when it comes to success and failure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. Okay, everybody, we're just going to have a quick breather right now, and then we will announce some of our awards today. So please just take this moment to meet some new people, do some networking, exchange your LinkedIn, and of course, your business cards if you have them. But don't go anywhere, because we are going to honor those people right up here on the stage very shortly. Okay, everybody, now is the time that you have all been waiting for. It is time to celebrate excellence in education. This recognition session honors individuals and organizations whose contributions are driving change and inspiring progress. So I would like to welcome up onto the stage the person who will be presenting these awards to our recipients. So please put your hands together. And we are going to welcome Gerard Anthony, founder and CEO of DBTEZ Technologies Private Limited.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I'm Gerard, founder and CEO of DBTEZ Technologies. I've always been fascinated about how technology, innovation, can solve the complex problems. Over the years, I've been in the industry for about 7 years, and I've had the privilege of working with leading tech companies, innovating with them. And I've been humbled in this journey to hear statements like, "If Gerard can't solve a problem, and that's something that I've seen people repeating it over and over. And in this journey, in 2019, I founded DBTEZ Technologies. I was working with Oracle at the time, and with a mission to change the data landscape. And in that journey is where we started working on database optimization. I worked with EdTech, I worked with AdTech, different segments. And we came across a problem statement of data being secured, data cannot be shared with customers, and being in the analytics space, how do you deliver analytics without So we decided to solve this problem. That's how we built this product called Secure. This is actually a secure data management platform. We got a patent filed 2 months ago, and today it's possible you can deliver secure analytics, including AI, without accessing customer data on your side. And this is going to be a game changer. We launched it 2 weeks ago to the public. We are serving US banks with this technology. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we do. But yeah, it's always about have a passion for innovation and tech. And to deliver these awards, I see that.
Okay, fantastic. Now, the time has begun, and we will honor our award recipients. So, first of all, we have an Excellence in Education Award. And we'd like to welcome up onto the stage, please put your hands together for Elizabeth Fennell. Elizabeth serves as the Assistant Director of Academies at Ajaluna Educational Company, where her innovative strategies have significantly improved educational practices. And our next award is an Outstanding Organization Award. This goes to Third Level Consulting Group. Third Level Consulting Group specializes in business development for children's activity centers, gymnastics, dance, cheerleading, learn to swim, and childcare industries. Let's please put our hands together for Third Level Consulting Group. Okay, fantastic. Now, if anybody would like to say a few words, they are more than welcome to. Okay, so our next award is the Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Adele O. Alameri. Dr. Alameri serves as the partner and HE expert of microeducation. Please put your hands together for Dr. Adele. Okay, and another Excellence in Education Award. This goes to Alyssa Ivazan. Alyssa is the board member of directors of Teichmann International. Also an Excellence in Education Award. This goes to Abradu Sharafeldin. Since 2003, Abradu has worked individually and in multinational teams in various positions such as education consultant, academic director, and head of development. Another Excellence in Education Award, Ashima Dewan, specializing in academic leadership, qualitative research, and corporate consulting. Please put your hands together for Ashima. And now another Excellence in Education Award, Avni Gandhi. Avni is an educator and grade level leader at Glendale Elementary School District. Now for a Visionaries Award, Elena Buriani. Elena is a co-founder and CPO of Leah Growing People.
Thank you very much to all of you for being here, supporting this milestone. I want to thank my community of 60 plus coaches, trainer, and HR consultants that have all over the world who made this possible. We started one person at a time, following a crazy vision that I had. And after 6 years, this vision came true. Very honored to take this Visionary Awards with the invitation of never give up on your vision. It doesn't matter how big and how crazy that sounds. With the help and the beliefs and the resilience, as we learned this morning, everything can be possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations. And next is an Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Elana Glassenberg. Dr. Elana Glassenberg is a visionary education consultant who can effectively work with people of various ages, backgrounds, and socioeconomic statuses. Please put your hands together for Dr. Elana. And for Excellence in Education Award, Karima Mackenzie. Karima is the Vice Principal of Jersey City Public Schools and CEO at Temples Are Sacred.
I would like to thank Education 2.0 for this award, as well as Jersey City Public Schools, which is where I've served in the career of education for the past 21 years. I particularly want to speak today because just 3 years ago, I didn't know that I would be standing here. I didn't even know that I would still be in education. 3 years ago, I had to check myself into a mental institution where I would be housed for 7 days, battling anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation after serving 17 years in education. I will be speaking on a panel later today about my story of triumph. I just want to make it a point today to say, as we're all here as educators, and we all have all of these strategies and techniques for helping students and helping educators, I need you to know that nothing matters if when you look in the mirror, you don't love the person that you look in and see yourself. That's the one thing I want to leave with you today. Love yourself first before you pour into anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karima. Now, an Excellence in Education Award. Salma Duidar, Head of Product at Code Galaxy, Texas, driving innovative coding curriculums to inspiring future tech leaders.
Hello. It should be a Young Leadership Award, and I just wanted to mention it because leadership to me is about making a difference, no matter how small it is, but the recognition, it is just a big sign to me because it's a long journey of studying, crying, happiness, laughing, and a lot of things. So I just wanted to share that with you and say that I am committed to continuing this journey, learning, growing, and helping others to unlock their potential through education and learning. Thank you so much for believing in me and creating such space. This is just the beginning. Thank you so much.
Thank you and congratulations. And now for our Visionaries Award, Stefania Cimino. Stefania is the Executive Advisor of LMI Executive, which she also founded to provide advisory to company boards. Please put your hands together for Stefania.
Okay, just in the meantime. Well, thank you very much for this award. And, it's really very nice to me. I had an award last year for the Leadership Award as well. But to me, actually, our job as leaders, building organization, making business, work with teams and people, it's a common, it's basics of trying to give back whatever competencies and experience that we learn and transfer to people who works with us and help us or help themselves to grow in a professional but also personal journey. So really, thank you. I think finally 5 minutes.
And next, Excellence in Education Award, Lisa Thorpe. Lisa is a Deputy Head of Primary School Education at Swiss Scientific International School in Dubai.
Thank you so much for this award. I just want to say that leadership is really about more than just leading the business side of a school. It's about leading with a heart. I really focus on a heart-based approach where I'm looking at the humans in the building. For me, everything is about leading the teachers and the staff and the team to make their life better so they can make a better experience for the students. And if anything can come out of today, I hope that that can come out for everyone else as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you and congratulations. And next, Excellence in Education Award, Mayra Abasto Vega. Mayra is an accomplished executive director and lead teacher at Isabella and Ferdinand Academia de Español, now partnered with Concertate Foundation team. She directs impactful community projects and other projects in the Spanish and Cultural Enrichment partnership with Instituto Cervantes. And Excellence in Education Award, Marlon Richardson. Marlon is the Education Director and Acting Executive Director of Hip Hop for Change.
Wow. Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody feeling? No, I'm from a hip hop background, so how's everybody feeling? A little bit louder. I love it, I love it. So I would assume, unlike a lot of you, I started my foray into education through hip hop music and culture as an artist and as a enthusiast of this culture that I grew up loving so much. But what I didn't recognize at the time is the transformative nature of it that kind of put me in a pathway to wanting to be the best version of myself. And the best way to do that was through education, through reading, through literacy, using hip hop as a culture, as a multi-dimensional way of critical thinking. And with my organization, Hip Hop for Change, this is exactly what we do. So I actually pay the debt back to the younger version of myself through the kids that we teach through our programs, in school as well as out of school, developing them not only as artists, but as human beings. So that ties in social justice, that ties in wellness and personal growth into a culture that young people around the world have embraced and recognized as a force for empowerment, as a force for building community, and a force for them to be their most authentic selves. So I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. I'm extremely grateful for you all, and hope to network with a lot more people this week. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you for that speech. Now, another Excellence in Education Award. Michael Wozniak. Michael is the trainer, consultant and coach in AI and in human performance at Optimistra.
Thank you very much for this award. It's very meaningful to me because the thing that I always say my students and also my clients is aim to the stars. Why? Because sometimes you may start a great work locally and people may not necessarily appreciate what you do. Sometimes having a bigger vision is just the solution. And this award is one more evidence that anyone can change things in the world. And the more we are going to push people towards that direction, to make a difference, to be different, the more we will have those kinds of great magical moments where a single person can make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations. Next we have Dr. Mustafa Menaimne. Mustafa is the head of international program at Najad National Schools for Boys in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Mustafa. Which aims to support neurodivergent students and their families. Please put your hands together for Peter. And next is our Excellence in Education Award, Ronnie Jabor. He is one of the world's most influential safety trainers, recognized as a 40 under 40 honoree by the U.S. National Safety Council and the founder of United Safety Net.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing today? Doing good, amazing. It's an incredible honor to stand before you today to receive this award. This award is not just about me. It belongs to every teacher, every trainer who dedicate their lives to transforming people through education. I believe in education is more than knowledge. It is the bridge between the challenge and opportunities. My mission always has been to inspire, to empower, and to make sure those who I train, they not only learn, but they thrive. This recognition is to all my students, the workers who deserve to go home safely every single day to their family. I would like to dedicate this award to all teachers, to all environmental health and safety trainers who has been saving lives out there. Also, I would like to dedicate this award to my beautiful wife who always supporting me. Mission, together we are shaping a safer, smarter, and more human future. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you and congratulations. And now for our Excellence in Education Award, Dr. Saima Khan. Dr. Khan is the program leader and assistant professor of psychology at Bath University Academic Center, Ras Al Khaimah. And next, another Excellence in Education Award, Teja Goodlaru. Teja is the founder of Virtual Guru Online and currently a visiting career coach at IIM Idapur, India. He is also a leadership development coach.
I just wanted to say thank you, Education 2.0. From where I started to where I am today, it's been a tough journey. But all I say today is get up in the morning, acknowledge somebody, communicate with somebody, make a small, tiny action. Probably it will transform somebody's life forever. That's all I would like to say. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And next up, Venugopal Chepur. Venugopal has been a global executive board member, strategic advisor and mentor, and acknowledged expert on digital and people transformation.
Thank you for the Education 2.0 for this award. In a world where college education or academics are limited to breadwinning, in a world where corporate training, workforce development is only largely seen as skilling for productivity gains or revenue or profits, in a world where entrepreneurship is looked at, misconstrued as making quick money, we work with colleges and universities to bridge the gap between the academics and the future that lies ahead for the students, for the graduates. For corporates, I've been engaged in a lot of Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies, both in the US and across the globe. People transformation is a huge deficit. We work with corporates to elevate them so that they evolve with the time and face the disruptions and keep up with the pace. Finally, we also work with NGOs and organizations who support the entrepreneurs and startups, and individually also who approach us, of course, to coach and mentor the startup company owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. I have coached about 14 so far, and about 8 are successful. Some people dropped out, of course. So this has been a journey for about 20 years. 2005, I started as a pro bono, and I always believed in this. You all should have such a wonderful audience as this, rich people in every sense, and accomplishments, achievements, knowledge, capabilities. We all should probably cater some portion of our life as giving side of the fence and earning side of the fence. And this is what I do. So this has been a giving side for me quite a bit until now, until COVID. Later on, I turned into an edutech firm. So I have 2 firms, growth strategy consulting firm and an edutech firm. This is what I do right now. So should you need any assistance, I'll be more than happy to do that. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. Once again.
Thank you so much. And next we have Dr. Dimple Patel, an accomplished director of education, served as the STEM Programs Executive Director at KGS Educational Services.
I'm going to take Mr. Teja, I believe he just stepped out, his advice to keep it simple. First of all, I want to thank Jatin, the organizer of this conference. Jatin, will you please stand up? So I feel that this has been, I attend a lot of these, and truly it's a great opportunity for bright minds in education to come together. Thank you so much, Jatin, for this opportunity and for this amazing event. I want to thank the entire team of WISE Colorado and KGS volunteers. I feel that my role has always been the overseer role, which is very easy. It's so easy to oversee things, but it is our volunteers, our teachers who are doing all the hard work. So I feel that without all these great people by my side, I would not be able to achieve all these great things that I want to. So thank you, entire WISE Colorado, as well as all the KGS team. Thank you. I want to thank my best friend, Seamus O'Hara, Aliyah Harris, Miriam Gobadi, my beautiful children, Madhav and Keshav, my brother Tushar, Abhishek Somani, Aliyah Harris. You guys are my pillars of strength, and without you, I would have trouble navigating the challenges of life, so thank you. And I have few more people to thank. I won't take a lot more time. I want to thank my father-in-law, Vinod Somani. He really taught me what it means to be humble and unconditional. I used to be the type of person who used to compare myself with my friends' success, other people's success, and I always had this mindset of expecting things in return. But by the grace of God and with my father's continuous guidance, I have really come to understand what it means to be unconditional. And I feel that if you can develop this mindset, you will be the happiest person alive. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Sai Baba, who is my role model, my inspiration. Without him, I feel that I would be nobody. So I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this award to
used to say, we build an education system suitable for the industrialized society. We find ourselves in a total different time, and we make improvements, we make reforms, but we never take a strong step and the strong initiatives that could lead to a transformational journey. I really believe that the school should be transformed into a community builder, a school that is inclusive, a school that really serves its purpose to the society, to inspire young generations, and also to allow them to reach a successful professional life and to live a life dominated by well-being. We can do that by connecting our schools with the national, regional, local strategies, also by transforming our programs and make them competence-based, program-based. I want to ask a question. What is our first idea that goes through our mind when we start to prepare our lessons for our students, even if they are university students or middle school students or nursery school students? Do we think about what am I going to teach, or do we think about what are my students going to learn or master? Unfortunately, many times we still stick to the same question, what I'm going to teach, and we are bound to those contents rather than thinking about their skills and how we can make this experience more hands-in, interactive, integrate experiential learning, guided learning after the class in a strategic manner. So I do believe that a second step would be to reform the programs, not only to manage the quality.
Hey, hey. Yes, ma'am. Hey, hey.